On a stormy night, under a sky heavy with rain, a man knelt on the ground, his hand pressed against the wet earth. A woman stood before him, a sword buried deep in his chest. He met her gaze, his voice unwavering as he told her, "If you wish to kill me, then twist the blade." Their eyes locked, and after a brief hesitation, she did exactly that, slowly twisting the sword inside his chest. Blood surged from his mouth as pain racked his body, yet a faint smile crossed his lips. He murmured that she was as beautiful and unattainable as ever. As his strength waned, he raised a trembling hand and gently placed it on her cheek. However, his fingers soon lost their grip, leaving behind a bloody imprint as his hand fell away. Stepping back, she watched as he exhaled his final words, cursing her before his consciousness faded. At that moment, a status window appeared, signaling that the event had concluded. It confirmed the requirement for the engagement-breaking route, Dekan's death. On the other side of the screen, a man let out a sigh of relief, muttering, "Thank God." He had finally resolved a persistent bug that had been plaguing the game. Stretching his arms, he reveled in the moment, knowing that his long overtime hours were nearing their end. His name was Kim Woo-in, a game developer at Rue, a company that had risen unexpectedly in the wasteland of Korea's struggling console game industry. Rue had made a name for itself by releasing one hit after another, gaining worldwide recognition. The game he was currently testing was Rue's most ambitious project yet, one that had cost the company everything it had. Its success would determine the company's fate. The game's defining feature was its intricate AI-driven narrative, which allowed players to shape the story and difficulty through their choices. Despite being a single-player experience, its depth and unpredictability had captivated gamers across the globe. The game also offered an extensive list of jobs, ranging from king and noble to devil hunter and beyond. If the game succeeded, Rue would be swimming in money. But if it failed, the company would collapse. Wooen had been working overnight for months, all because of a single character, a central figure in the episode titled Dane's Death. After countless hours of troubleshooting, he had finally managed to clear the event without encountering any issues. The character in question was Dekan von Grahan Yukin, a mid-boss and named villain in the game. Due to his major role in the narrative, his storyline was riddled with variables, making bug fixes an arduous task. But today, Wooen had finally achieved a clean execution, Decane's death at the hands of his own fiancée. As he relished his small victory, a voice called out to him. Turning around, he saw UR, the leader of his development team and his ex-girlfriend. They had spent 7 years together, sharing both joyful and difficult moments. While UR was a relentless workaholic, Wooen preferred a laid-back approach to life. Her ambition had helped him secure his job and pushed him to strive for more. But ultimately, their differences had led to their breakup. It had been 6 months since they parted ways. UR acknowledged his struggle with the bugs and commended him for pushing through. Ween, still processing their history, mentioned that he had heard rumors about her being with someone new. She seemed momentarily surprised, but admitted that rumors spread quickly within the company. She confirmed that things were going well, prompting Wynn to respond with thinly veiled frustration, saying that he hoped she and her new partner would make it to the finish line and get married. Unimpressed by his pettiness, UR told him to stop sulking and get back to work. She then relayed that the game's writer had changed some settings and wanted certain character models updated. Ween sighed, remarking on the constant stream of modifications. Speaking of characters, he mused aloud whether Decane was truly a mid-boss, as players could eliminate him early if they were lucky. UR reminded him that this unpredictability was one of the game's unique selling points. Decane's strength grew as the story progressed, making each player's experience different and increasingly challenging. Then, with a teasing smile, she revealed a curious fact. The character's design was actually based on Win himself. He balked at the idea, but she laughed, insisting that the resemblance was undeniable. She playfully mentioned that every time she played the game, she made sure to kill Decane first. Win scoffed, asking if she was picking a fight, but Yuar simply continued, stating that their personalities were eerily similar.
Wynn dismissed the idea outright. He argued that there was no way he could be anything like Deculine, a character whose final words included a harsh insult. Uar merely laughed before asking for his thoughts on the latest playtest. He admitted that while the game was fun, he was anxious about how much was riding on its success. She reassured him that there was no need to worry. The gameplay trailer had generated worldwide excitement, ensuring that the game wouldn't flop. Just then, Woon glanced to the side and noticed a man standing by a car, looking at his phone. He pointed it out, asking if that was her new boyfriend. Uar hesitated before checking the time, realizing how late it was. Woon urged her to go, saying she shouldn't keep the guy waiting. Agreeing, she bid him farewell, leaving him alone with his thoughts. He sighed, turning his focus back to Deculine's character model. Studying the details, Wynn questioned how the writer could have possibly based the character on him. Deculine had been hailed as a prodigy in his childhood, but was, in reality, mediocre at best. His arrogance, combined with his noble upbringing, had shaped him into one of the most despised figures in the game. Though he grew stronger as the story advanced, he remained universally hated. Ween decided that if Deculine truly was modeled after him, he should at least have some redeeming qualities. With that thought in mind, he began tweaking the character's traits. He added aspects like wealthy magnate, Midas touch, sharp eyesight, and iron body. Initially, he intended to add only a couple of traits, but before he knew it, the list had grown significantly. Realizing he had gone overboard, he resolved to revert the changes before anything went wrong. Just as he was about to restore Deculine's original state, a sudden notification startled him. Checking the message, he saw that it was from developer Rain, the scriptwriter. Rain asked if he was still working, to which Wynn replied affirmatively, assuming it was another request for model changes. Instead, Rain cryptically responded that they were just here to watch. Confused, Wynn asked what they meant, but before he could process the reply, an ominous sight caught his attention. A gaping hole had appeared in the sky, crackling with violent lightning. His heart pounded as the bolts intensified, illuminating the darkness. Panic surged through him as he questioned what was happening. Before he could react further, a blinding strike of lightning crashed down upon him. Agony overwhelmed his senses as his consciousness began to fade. In his final moments of awareness, a single thought echoed in his mind. Where am I? Who am I seeing? As his eyes fluttered open, an unfamiliar voice rang in his ears. Wake up, Deculine! Get up this instant! We hear a man saying, remember this, child. You must always be on guard, and that Deculine is not easy to kill. He may be faltering for now, but he may rise again at any time, as he is simply balancing the scale of his own talents. He is a despicable villain, after all. Then we hear someone yelling, wake up! Get up this instant! Deculine opens his eyes, and a woman asks how much longer he's going to laze around. Yet he still calls himself a human. We hear Wooin's voice saying that he sees, and it's been a few days since he possessed this body, but it still feels like a dream to him. The woman asks how much longer he's going to shut himself away because of one girl, questioning if he's trying to sully their family name. She throws some papers on the floor, saying that if he doesn't want to get fired from the professor position he likes so much, he should go and work. Wynn says that 1 week ago, the night sky suddenly had a weird phenomenon, and he woke up in an unfamiliar place inside an unfamiliar body. As far as he can tell, he's inside the game that he has been developing, and the familiar scenery only confirmed his suspicions. What's more, he's in the body of a man who cannot escape death no matter what route the world story takes. He ended up becoming the villain, Deculine. It then jumps to him lying in bed. I'm going to call him Deculine because that's the body he's in now. And Bro looks defeated. He says that at first, he thought this was all a dream. But as the days passed, the feeling of him being alive made him accept it as reality. After dying from the lightning, maybe he's experiencing some sort of afterlife. But there's one thing that he's 100% certain of. He is the villain of the in-development game that he has been slaving away over. And this body he's possessed is a character that dies no matter what route the player takes. He's the enemy of countless people in the world and the origin of all sorts of events. He can't believe he had to be in this body out of all the choices. The biggest problem is that he doesn't know what stage of the game he appeared in. The only thing he knows is the total amount of mana he has, and he doesn't even know how to use it, so he can't even fight back like this. And he's not joking when he says this. But when all employees, including him, tested the routes over 1,000 times during the game's development, he has only survived in one singular scenario out of the 1,000 attempts. He was created as a villain and fulfilled his role as a mid-game boss before being killed off. He sees the documents that the girl left behind, and it's something that mentions the Imperial University and him being a senior professor. He explains that her name is Uriel von Delon Euclin, and she is his half-sister. She is the one who acts as the true lord of the Euclin family in Deculane's stead, and he does not have a good relationship with her. The woman that Uriel spoke of is probably Uli. He suspected as much, but it seems there's something going on between Deculane and Uli. Uriel stormed out, saying that she's going to leave the documents here, telling him that if he doesn't want to get fired from his professor position, he needs to go and work. Deculane says that today is actually the day of the lecture, and he sighs, saying that he should get going. Even though he's never held a lecture in his life, he needs to obtain any sort of information he can. Most importantly, he sees a status window that says, Primary Survival Goal, Become Necessary to the Game. Side Quest, University Lecture, Reward 0.5 store credits. He says that even if it's just because of that, he needs to get moving, as Uriel is one of the factors that can cause his death, and the store currency is pretty important. He's not really worried about performing the lecture either, because the body has the understanding trait, after all. It's the ability to understand anything as long as he consumes mana. Before becoming Deculane, he added this trait to him in the hope he could be at least sympathetic. Since it's an innate trait that appears in the latter half of the game, it should have some hidden uses. His bedroom is absolutely huge. He says the bathroom and clothes are unfamiliar, but he can use them more naturally than he expected. It's almost as if he's always lived as Deculane. His original self would have thought such clothes were too cheesy, but to him now, they feel elegant and comfortable. This is also due to the influence of his traits, which are intimidation, dignity, and aesthetic sense. It's almost like everything is trying to tell him that this is his new body now. In truth, he can't act against the etiquette expected of the body. Even the things that he would have felt uncomfortable doing as Win are now natural to him. Even though it's just to obtain information, going to his first lecture feels normal too. He is an outstanding and precious noble, but he still feels a bit of pressure. Because, of course, he's still Win. He starts glazing himself, saying that he's objectively tall and pretty handsome. And to borrow the words of A.R. Ra, he's a boring and lazy bastard. That is who he truly is. And he will never forget himself. As long as he keeps this fact in mind, he won't let his guard down. He's never been in an expensive car like this, even in real life. Thinking about how expensive this car is reminds him of the bastard he saw with A.R. Ra, which pisses him off a bit. We see someone else in the car, and he wonders who this kid is. I can't tell if it's a boy or girl, but they tell him, "Good morning," handing him some papers. Deculane wonders if it's his secretary or assistant, asking if they're a mage. They tell him they've been under his tutelage for 3 years already. Deculane says he was only joking. He thought the document would be material for the lecture, but it's just a script. He has to read off the content of the lecture from beginning to end. There's no way the talentless and prideful Deculane would prepare a proper lecture himself. The guy has just suffered instead. He goes to tell them, "Good job," but everything distorts for a second, and instead he says, "Good work," which surprises them. Deculane tells him to rest until they arrive, and even the driver is surprised that he's praising someone. Dean's stomach starts to feel like it's in knots, and he asks what kind of shitty personality he has that just giving simple praise would make him feel upset. He felt it before he left the mansion, but it feels like his mind was infected with Deculian's personality. As soon as he gets told they've arrived, he opens the door and steps out, saying that this is his workplace from now on, as we see the Imperial University. Not going to lie, this looks sick. Deculian says the lecturer mentioned the rodeo hall. He heads straight there. Students are talking about how they're finally attending one of his lectures, and that he's the genius of spell interpretation, a prodigy since he was young. Deculian tells everybody to pay attention and introduces himself, saying that he has been entrusted with this lecture as a senior professor of the Mage Tower. He puts his paper down, saying they're going to go ahead and begin, while some of the girls start ogling him, saying that he's handsome and cool. But one girl just looks pissed and sighs, saying that they finally meet. I assume this is Julie, and she says that she finally gets to meet this trash bastard who is her father's mortal enemy. The girl, who is definitely not Yuli, says that 3 years ago, her father committed suicide after dedicating many years of his life to spell interpretation research. He took his own life from the shock after his research paper was stolen from him. The person who took her father's paper became known to the masses as the genius of spell interpretation. You probably already guessed it. She's talking about Deculian. But there was nothing she could do. She had lost everything after her father passed away. She was once a noble, but not only did she lose their house, she also lost their territory and valuables. In the end, she had nowhere to go. That's when she swore to herself that she would get her revenge on this piece of hive. After that day, she worked tirelessly day and night until she was finally admitted to the Imperial University, where Deculian was a professor. She knows what the other students don't. His spell interpretation abilities are a facade, all stolen glory from her father. After having brought down her house, she wonders how the hell he could be so nonchalant, living his life like this, when he is standing in the rightful place of her father. She wants to reveal his lies and kill him now, but she decides to hold back her anger. In order to drag him down, she needs more preparation for the perfect vengeance. Deculian then tells everybody that he is going to be starting the lecture and would like to introduce himself once more. As a senior professor at the Mage Tower and a monarch-ranked mage capable of ruling over elements, he has been assigned as their special lecturer. Maybe later it will explain mage ranks. Dane says that he is sure they are already aware, having made it this far, but magic is largely divided into 3 properties and 9 categories. Properties are the following: origin, the foundation of magic; elements, the physical makeup; material, the medium. As for categories, there are summoning, spiritual, destruction, support, manipulation. I ain't reading all of this. Deculian even starts to tune out his own words, saying this is going far smoother than he expected. Not only is this his first ever lecture, but he is also teaching magic theory, a subject he has no familiarity with. Though he may be simply reading a prepared script, he has seemingly perfect understanding of its contents. The intimidation and dignity trait has everyone's attention focused on him, while the elitism trait prevents him from feeling self-conscious from all the attention. Instead of feeling pressured, it makes everything feel natural. Dane's traits genuinely make him suitable as an educator. He says that mana has different methods of usage depending on which part of the body it is held in. Typically, mages store mana inside the brain, where it's easier to picture spells. Knights, on the other hand, store it in the heart, the organ that pumps throughout their entire body. The Danton is a mana storage most applicable for all, as it is the most intertwining of the internal and external.